Hello and welcome to this lecture where we'll come into ingesting data into duckdb SQL. When we have data from a CSV file, for example, we want to ingest it into duckdb database so that we can do our queries on it, so that we can do different types of analytics. So let's start in the browser. This link is also given in the video description and in the GitHub repository. So when you click download here, you click on download the dataset as zip. And after you have downloaded it, it looks like this here. And you have unzipped the file, and that there's a lot of different social media CSV files. And the one that I will choose here is social media influencers YouTube CSV. So if I preview it, you can see that it looks like this. So we have YouTuber name, channel name, category, subscribers, etc. And then this one we will ingest into duckdb. So moving now to Visual Studio Code. Okay, so now I'm in Visual Studio Code, and you can see that I've put it in the CSV file here, Social Media Influencers YouTube. So I'll just create a new folder now called SQL Scripts. And in here, I create a new file called readcsv.sql. Okay. So this one I will use in order to ingest the data so that we can take the data from the CSV file into duckdb. And the question that might arise is, why don't we do this directly in dbeaver? That is because in dbeaver, path is based on where the dbeaver is installed, so that it's not as easy to work with the absolute path as it is to work in Visual Studio Code directly. And also I will increase the size so that it's easier to watch. Okay, so basically we can work with absolute paths here, and that is based on where we are in the terminal. So I open a new terminal here. And you can see that if I take pwd, we can see I'm in ingest data. And if I do ls, you can see that there is data and SQL scripts. Okay, perfect. So now I will, in the SQL scripts, in the read CSV, I will type out the code to ingest the data. So create table YouTube as select star from read CSV auto, and then here you have to pick the absolute path, the relative path. And what is the relative path? The relative path is based on where you are in the terminal. So I am in ingest data. So the relative path into the data is actually just going into data and then slash the name of this. So I will just copy here this name like this. Social media influencers youtube.csv. Okay. So that is it. Save it. Okay. And now let's ingest this data into duckdb. So we do like this. There's something called input redirection. So what we do is that duckdb, then we will create a duckdb in-memory database. So if we do duckdb and we choose the database name, say, what do we call this? We call this social media.duckdb. This means that we create this social media duckdb database. But we want to do input redirection, so that we want to create this and also run a script. So then we do like this. It's in SQL scripts, right? So SQL scripts / read csv.sql. Like this. So if I run this, enter, and you can see there's a social media.duckdb here that appeared. Okay, so let's go in there and see what we have. We're in here, desk, to describe the tables. And you can see, yes, we have a table called social media. And it's in the main schema and in YouTube. YouTube is the table, so this should be enough. since it looks into the main schema by default. So select start from YouTube and we get this data here. And you can see 1000. Okay, cool. So now we have ingested the data into duckdb database. So I will quit this with Control D. And now it's time for us to connect this with dbeaver so that we actually can do the processing in dbeaver and continue there. Okay, so now it's time for us to open dbeaver. So open dbeaver. And in dbeaver, it looks like this. I have a lot of other projects, but no matter if you don't have anything. So let's create another project here. So create project, not use default location. You call it something. So ingest data, for example, and then browse. And then you go into looking into your data or you find your path. So ingest data is the path. Right, it's the path to our project. And then finish here. And then you get this ingest data folder here, this project. You click on this arrow here. And you can see there's some folders that dbeaver have created automatically, but we will use this SQL scripts folder that we created locally before, or you could use this scripts folder here. But in order to use this, first you need to do the connection. So you create a new connection. So note that you need to be in this ingest data and you do new connection, you search for duckdb. And here, first time you need to download some JDBC and just accept that and install that. But afterwards, it's just doing like this. So you choose duckdb, next, and then you need to open where it is, which database you want to connect to, and I choose this social media duckdb. Okay, finish. Now I've connected to here after I've double-clicked. So I've double-clicked, you can see there's a check mark here. And now we have connected to this social media duckdb. So here I'll go into SQL scripts and I will create a new script. Click on it and you choose new SQL script. Fn F2. And you need to mark this an F2 so that you change the name. And the name I choose is EDA for Exploratory Data Analysis on SQL. So basically now it's connected to duckdb. To test it out, just do desk and run this. And you can see here it is. And if I want to do, you can do select star from YouTube. And you can see the data is here. Okay, great. So now you have gone through how to ingest the data from Visual Studio Code, and you have gone into dbeaver. And one more important note that you need to do is that go into your .gitignore and add .project and also add .dbeaver so that these artifacts from the dbeaver don't go up to your source control, so that they don't get into GitHub when you're working with GitHub and GitHub repository. But with this, you have ingested CSV data into duckdb database. You in the next video will analyze this data and hope that you found this useful, and see you in the next video. Bye.